Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty Gensius, a faculty member at a Midwest University, podcaster, and an Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding interesting ways to share content, currently photography of plants and birds and panoramic sequences. Although I have to admit, this week I was distracted by games.
This week you were distracted by games?
That never happens, but it did this week.
Are we going to talk about that app later tonight?
Oh, man. I am not a good gamer.
I loaded that app. We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't quite got through the tutorial yet, but it's an interesting app. So we're going to cover news. We'll share some great apps later on in the show. But news, the bull riding app came out. Is that right? Have we had that? Did we talk about that last episode?
We talked about that one last week, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it's out. It's still out. And then I think you put in something about Apple TV interface changes. Is that right?
Oh, that was last week too. But yes, and we talked about it too. Well, I know you weren't here, but yep. But once we get past all of that, there was a Vision OS update that came out today. That really happened. And that was earlier today. So no, we did not talk about that.
This should be Vision Profiles last week. Last week in Vision Profiles, because we already talked about some of this stuff. Hey, yeah, there was a Vision Profiles beta that came out today. I downloaded it. Did you download it and update? Oh, you're not doing betas. You don't do betas.
No.
I did it, and you know what? My headset is still running, despite the fact that it's a beta. And I tried to do some research on it, and it's interesting because there are a couple of sites that talked about it. 9to5Mac, maybe Mac Rumors talked about the update with this, but I just could not. I could not find anything serious about what was being done with it. I mean, no information whatsoever in terms of the app and in terms of what the software and what the changes were. It was strange because my usual sources for finding that stuff out just directed me to the developers page. And even on the developers page, they have a 2.3 release, but they don't have a 2.3.1 release information whatsoever. So the information on the release hasn't even been put up on the developer site as far as I can tell. But a lot of the articles say, if you want to know anything about it, just go to the developer site. Well, it's not on the developer site, so that makes it even a little bit more difficult to deal with.
I think it was mostly security updates and patches.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
But it seems like there were some relatively urgent ones because it came out on phone and Mac and iPad and everything else as well.
Had any specifics about what was in there, even if it was security updates? And most of the general articles, because there were other releases. There was a release for the developer beta and for Sequoia. And still, even the articles that talked about that, they really said nothing but security updates at this point. There were other articles that were like 9to5Mac said, we're looking for some really cool stuff to come out now that they've gone into the 0.1. We'll start to see some new stuff, and nothing announced. So that's what's new. Hey, I want to change topics a little bit, maybe go back a little in the past, like last night. Did you have any opportunity to watch the Super Bowl using your Vision Pro?
It seemed like it might be complicated, and since really all I was interested in was the ads, I didn't.
Well, I got on this Tubi app last week because I was hearing that they were going to do this and they were going to do it in 4K.
Hmm.
And so I went in before, I'm busy all day long. It was supposed to have started streaming by like 12 o'clock. I was busy all day long. And, so I got in, I figured I'd wait till the Super Bowl started because I didn't want to get into any of the pregame stuff. So I waited till like 6:30 Eastern time and attempted
Mhm.
to get in. And all I got was error messages. And this is Fox owned. Tubi is a Fox owned ad supported service. And they were going to do in 4K and they were going to do Kendrick Lamar and the whole show that way. And I was kind of looking forward to it, at least looking forward to it. And then it was on Xfinity customers, you could get it with Dolby Atmos.
Hmm.
But the big news was this Tubi thing, and it didn't come through. And I tried it a couple of times through the game, and still no game. And then I went on Reddit and tried to do some searches to see if people were having trouble with Tubi. There was a thread on Reddit where people said, "Yeah, all I'm getting is there's a problem. There's an error," and the same error code, which was like 900 dash something. And so that I searched for that, and still had some folks who are saying, "Yeah, I'm not getting squat." People were saying it works well on the web.
Hmm.
So if you go to the Tubi web, through whatever browser you're using, it'll work fine. And I think on the app, maybe on other platforms, they were saying no problem with Tubi. It was just not working through Vision Pro, which was disappointing. Was disappointing for me. So I had to watch. I had to watch it with regular. I watched it on my YouTube TV.
Hmm.
On one of my screens. But you only watched it for the commercials. Was there anything from the commercials that stuck out for you?
Not totally. I, um, the Budweiser one was, Budweiser
You mean with the real long cooler?
with the short horse that was taking
Oh no, I
the
didn't see that
the
one.
keg into town because they forgot it.
Yeah.
I guess there's a longer version of that was shown elsewhere, so I might have to go back to YouTube and watch that one again. But
I saw a clip of like the weirdest commercials from the Super Bowl, and they kind of had categories for weirdness on it, and there were some weird ones on there. There were some that I kind of thought maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon, but I kind of thought, well, nothing that really knocked me out or had kind of a wow effect with it. So much, so much for Super Bowl.
hmm.
Let's go back to Vision Pro.
Now, before we leave that, I did I can't find the reference that said how they did it. I found two people who said that they were able to successfully connect and watch with the app, but they had to
Really?
do something weird to get it to work. So I'll go back later and look just in case we need to use it at some point in the future, because now I'm curious.
Okay.
But most people were unhappy though.
Yeah. Well, this was one right here, speaking to you right now. I wasn't going to watch the whole thing on my Vision, headset, but I did want to see the proof of concept that it worked with it. So big thing last week was the issue around AR glasses. In fact, our show was Apple has lost its glasses. But now some more articles, and I have not been really impressed with this guy from 9 to 5 Mac. And this article is kind of more, well, see, it was too expensive. It's been canceled. Glasses aren't coming anytime soon. Physical limitations. Really, nothing in this article to explain what's going on with it. But they 9 to 5 Mac needed to somehow explain it more. It doesn't inspire medical expert designed accessories to make it more comfortable than the AR glasses truly be on the table. Then they start to talk about Meta and how great Meta is and the Ray-Bans are. You know what they do? They take pictures and they take movies. That's all they do. So tell me how great it is. And then they give some suggestions, but the wrap up basically is, if AirPods and Apple Watch can offer similar functionality, won't most of us opt just for those accessories? Not a positive article, but again, I think they captured the whole issue wrong in terms of we're going to make glass. The article and what Gurman said was tethered glasses. I know we talked about that. I think on In Touch with iOS or on Chuck's show, Mac Voices, and I mentioned, you got to be real careful attention to this. This is tethered glasses. Nobody wants a hockey puck. Nobody wants to plug their glasses into their iPhone. And Patrice picked that up in what was it, the Big Mac show or the Big Show, the British Tech Network show, where she said, notice that it's about tethered glasses that aren't going to happen. And it was basically some employees who had tried some prototypes of it and said, nah, this is not the way to go with these. And then that got extended into a story that it's all going to disappear. Another article in Macworld, again, claiming that Apple killed the wrong Vision Pro project. They should have killed the headset and worked on the glasses. That the glasses would be more appealing and more competitive, et cetera, et cetera. It's an interesting comment here. It's 200. Well, they at least they do give the price for Ray-Bans. $299 glasses are a different animal. And again, they hold up the almighty AirPods as an option. Beyond that is another article that from Engadget is that it may not be scrapped. So, what, keep working on the underlying technology, but the best one is, at least with this Engadget article, they are talking about how they may not have been scrapped entirely. And again, they refer to the Mac tethered or augmented reality glasses. That doesn't mean any other. So Engadget picked up on what Gurman was saying. And then the best article to beat them all always is the MACALOPE. Apple is doomed because it can't see the future. Reports of the death of AR are greatly exaggerated. And maybe if we offload the processing to an iPhone, that's not going to work. How about offloading it to a Mac? AR glasses you can wear while sitting at a desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm just really surprised that nobody's come out complaining about how Apple hasn't introduced the, the AI glasses or contacts, the Apple Vision version of contact lenses. You just pop them in, and if they really want to go nuts, then you put in your AirPods, and there's a camera, and you can see what your camera is seeing through your ears in your contact lenses. Yeah, yeah. The stuff
Just
that
a
they're
note.
arguing about is just silly.
Yeah.
It's just
Just a note that Cletus has joined the chat room. We've got Dave Ginsburg from In Touch with iOS. We also have Gary from Old Mac Gang in there. And a reminder, you can follow the live stream on youtube.com/@vision profiles on Monday nights at 9 p.m. or catch the video later on YouTube or the audio on any of your podcatcher services. And we've got Cletus and we've got Chuck Joyner who's joined us in the chat room, and Gary and Dave Ginsburg. Cletus mentioned he tried to do the Tubi app 4K through the headset. He couldn't get in either, so it just didn't work well for them. So for Tubi, and it not a peep out of anybody about that, which is really kind of strange. But why would you give yourself negative, publicity? I work with a lot of guys, a lot of older guys who are veterans. I'm not a veteran. But if you are a veteran, we have special news report for you that you can now get your 10% discount military purchase program starting with the Vision Pro headset. So that's now included. You think $349 will coax somebody to buy a new headset? I don't know, but it sure is nice discount. So we have a couple of articles on that, Mac Daily News, and also through 9 to 5 Mac. Apple Care is also available for $449. So that's a $50 discount. That's a 10% discount on Apple Care for it.
nice.
So a nice little, I'm glad they opened that product line up for folks with the availability of that. We're moving along pretty quick, which is okay. There hasn't been a lot of news this week, but one of the products that has been announced is the Dbrand, and the Dbrand. I'm going to zoom in here a bit. The Dbrand sort of mask. Have you seen this, Eric?
Yeah, it's an odd looking product, but kind of nice.
Yeah, it's Swiss cheesed where all the cameras are. So it will protect all the cameras. Now I have a complete clear cover that you put on top of it. That's kind of a soft plastic, and I really haven't used it that much to determine the impact. But Dbrand makes some pretty cool covers and pretty cool, for laptops and for phones. Sort of, I don't want to call them stickers. What do you call them? Protective layers that adhere to that. So this fits within their mold of kind of viewing the product. And you can buy it just for the Apple Vision Pro, or you can also buy it for the battery. They have a little separate Aperture battery, and they call this Aperture is the product line. And again, where you see all these Swiss cheese holes are where the sensors are. But I wouldn't want to drop my Vision Pro on this to see if it's protective, but it might might jar you from some bumps and stuff. My headset has a little scratch in the cover, very tiny. You could barely be hard for you to see it if you wanted to see it. I can find it because I know where it's at. It doesn't impact any of the cameras, but probably, and it was because I drug it off the couch while I had the battery pack in my pocket and it dropped to the floor. And, I wet myself when that happened and picked it up and could not find any breakable damage to it. But something like this on it probably would have protected it.
That would have saved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I like the idea, sort of kind of the casual drops. It's not going to save you onto a gravel road, but, a drop
Yeah.
off of a table that.
Yeah. And Chuck Joyner in the chat room says it looks like something out of Squid Games. So here's another article from 9 to 5 Mac, which talks about it as it's ugly, but it's also kind of awesome. Now I have one. I purchased one in black. I couldn't do the whatever color that is you call it. What would you call it?
I'd go for the orange.
Oh, you would go for the orange? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now I got the black with the battery cover.
Let's see if I've got it. Yeah, I would go with the orange with let's see, get this queued up. Orange with the mask.
Yeah, and they make a point in this article. It says it works well for keeping the cover is only meant to be used when the Vision Pro isn't. So that the typical cloth cover that we have with it. It works well for keeping Vision Pro's outer display pristine while sitting idle. But anytime you want to actually use this for spatial computing, you have to remove that protective cover. So Dbrand gives you a option here where
you don't have to.
You don't have to remove the cover. You don't have to use the cover.
Yeah.
What happens
and while
to my
you're using it, that's that's when you want the protection.
Yeah, I guess my googly eyes are behind there. With
That's even
eyesight.
better. Oh yeah, that's an improvement.
It's like I'm back there peeking through Swiss cheese.
Yeah, that's almost enough to get it right there. Kind of sci-fi.
Yeah. Well.
See, I can picture it now. Just the protective coating in orange.
Oh, you've got your little dust
Yeah.
duck. For folks listening to the podcast, Eric's got his little orange duck mask on.
See, it would match between the two. Well, probably not exactly, but you get the. I don't know. I always found blaze orange to be relaxing.
Cletus is in chatting about AirPod 3s are coming out.
Ooh.
And they're talking a little bit about last night's Super Bowl in the chat room. Okay, so another piece of news here was Apple Vision Pro game controller. And of course, everybody's got a complaint about it, that it doesn't look like a game controller. But they did a patent on this. And this was in December 2024. Oh, that's when they were going to work with Sony. Doesn't mean they're not working with Sony anymore. It's just that maybe they just want their own set.
Maybe they started with that, and somebody's going to help them with the extra buttons.
Yeah. It really looks like a jump rope handle. It might include an inertial measurement unit with accelerometer.
Yeah, that could be kind of cool.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Somebody found that in patents that they are going to be doing something patent around that. And then I think, yeah, wow, we are moving through this. And Daniel's not here to slow us down. I mean, in a good way, to slow us down with some actual content to talk about, or opinions to talk about. Last couple of articles are really this idea about a M5 Apple Silicon chip. Any thoughts on that?
Well, eventually everybody will get it.
Yeah, okay. But they're like there's reports that Apple is now in mass production of these M5 chips, according to South Korean media. And Apple outsources to TSMC to do the silicon wafers, the Taiwan group.
I mean, we don't have the M4 and the MacBook Air yet, so that's coming
Yep.
up, and we haven't seen the high end, the ultra version or whatever is close to that in an M4.
Yeah. But they're talking about M5s, and the article says iPad Pros in late 2025 or early to mid 2026. We just got an M4 Pro. Oh,
Yeah, and
iPad Pro.
that was
Yeah.
a big, well, and it was kind of a big jump ahead. Unless they do something like adding more to the operating system, you know, I don't totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or at least not. I don't see a quick need for it anyway. Um,
Yeah, these chip upgrades are coming so fast.
well,
It's
it'll be nice in the MacBook Pro and in some of the other desktops.
yeah.
And that will queue it up and get it ready for the things beyond Pro coming out. And I guess the only reason it might be worth seeing it in an iPad Pro is it seems that whatever is available on the iPad, we're likely to see something similar in the Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah, they're talking about M5 variants will arrive in MacBook Air sometime in early 2026. So does that mean we're going to see a MacBook Air M4 and then a year later we're going to see an M5?
That's my guess. I mean,
I
we should have. Well, let's see. We just had an OS update today, so does that mean that we'll see an M4 MacBook Air this tomorrow or later this week, or is that next week?
No, we're going to see the phone probably this week.
Mm. Huh? Don't know. Maybe.
Cletus is saying M1 through M3 had a hardware hole the fours don't have.
Hmm.
And Chuck from Mac Voices is saying basically, I'll believe it when I see it, when it's actually announced.
See, that is a good answer.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any. I think we'll see the phone soon. But I don't think we're going to see hardware this soon. I would really be surprised. Maybe March, maybe April. I don't know. So, two articles on that. Again, all the articles you can find in the show notes of both the video and the podcast version of the show. So look for the links to the articles that we're talking about if you want to know a little bit more or read a little bit more about them. Let's talk about apps. Eric, we got just 3 apps to talk about tonight. So I'll go ahead and start with Planny. They have had a recent update with this, and it took me a while to figure this out. Planny has two versions. It has Planny and Planny X. Planny is Planny 9 point whatever is basically the ninth version, and then X is the 10th version, which came out most recently. This is the Apple Vision version of it. So basically, it's your whole planning calendar and different things that you can be working on and setting up in terms of a schedule to do work. It is pretty cool in terms of a layout design. The other thing is this crosses over to other platforms. So if I want to sit in the morning with my Vision Pro on and work out my schedule, work out the events that I want to get done today or the tasks that I want to plan, I can do this on my Vision Pro and then pick it up on my phone and it's all there when I leave for work, or sit at my desktop and it's all there. So I am always in pursuit of a nice integrated to-do slash calendar slash planner piece of software that crosses. And either they're really good calendars or they're really good to-do lists, but rarely do you get a matchup of both of those.
Both.
And then across all platforms. That's the other thing that's important for me. So I took a serious look at this again. I think I had loaded the Planny 9 point version and then loaded the Planny X version of it. And let me see if there are the price is free, but you can get in-app purchases that are annual 3 months and premium and then Planning 3. So they have a whole slew of different kinds of prices with it. But I think it's worth it. I noticed it first when I saw it was updated in the Vision Pro app group, and it was noted as being new. And so I thought, okay, well, let me take a look at this in Vision Pro. And I knew that I had played with it on the phone in the past. So this could be a cool, good transition to work with. Gurn is in the chat room with us. Greetings to Gurn for joining us. Do you want to move to Eternal Starlight? This
Sure.
one's your baby. This one you texted it to me today. It's like, okay, this is something I want to look at before the show. And it's pretty cool.
So you said you had a chance to do some of the tutorial.
Yeah, first thing I had to do was figure out how to get out of the intro. And there's this thing right there that says skip intro. I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens here. I want to get into the tutorial. And so I went to the tutorial, and trying to manage to move the spacecraft down a line to a different point, I just had problems. You're laughing. You're laughing. I spent $15 on this because you told me. Now, you didn't tell me to do it, but I wanted to be prepared for the show, and you'd be laughing.
I'm only laughing because the number of times I ended up in this weird corkscrew pattern as I was trying to get from here to right here, and it just So the trick seems to be that if you zoom in closer before you give the course, then it's a straight line. If you're too far away, then there's not enough accuracy, and you end up all over the place.
Yeah, it seemed like it was giving me this microphone arm pathway, and I just couldn't get anywhere.
Although, it seems to still work, even if it's a roundabout way of getting there. Yeah. And so I saw this app, I think because of a Reddit post. And in that particular post, it was talking about an update to the game. And whatever the update was, they had voice control. As far as I can tell, this one doesn't have that. So it's earlier features.
Huh.
So it looks like, if voice control shows up at some point, that's going to be pretty cool because you can say, hey, go attack that particular vessel or go pick up this thing or whatever. But it was still enjoyable. There are plenty of blinking lights. You get little missions, you get to do repairs. Frankly, I'm not really a gamer, or certainly not a serious one. So being able to play in easy mode so that I didn't get blown up all the time was kind of
Yeah.
refreshing. But there are more advanced modes with a whole lot more ships, a lot more action, a lot more activity. Um, in the easier modes, I found that accuracy of targeting wasn't a problem. It still kind of progressed. I ended up with a lot of ships that got blown up. So, but
Yeah,
I enjoyed it more than most of the other games that have been out there so far.
yeah,
Oh,
I always fancied myself as pretending I was a gamer, but it usually involved me finding the cheat codes for God mode, where you can never, so I played a lot of
yeah.
Doom or whatever it was running Wolfenstein, running through castles, but with God mode on. So, I could just continue to run. So the graphics, I got to tell you, are pretty cool. It is a 180, not a 360, but that's okay. But it is a 180.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It is pretty visually kind of a neat game to play with.
And the interface is pretty good, kind of using two hands to kind of rotate things around, or one hand to kind of go back and forth. You hold your arm up and it gives you a status display of what's going on. So yeah, lots of kind of cool screens. I'm not sure for somebody who's a rabid gamer if they would get bored, but
Yeah. This was built specifically for Apple Vision Pro. And, having the fact that you can get information by holding your arm up, by holding two hands and maneuvering the ship around, that's all about, using touch control. And
yeah.
you're not going to get that someplace else. So, okay. Last one to talk about, where is it? Is Primo Immersive. Um, I saw this like at 7 o'clock tonight, 2 hours ago, and I thought, okay, well, let's give it a shot. And I went in, bought it. Well, no, it's free. But then I noticed quickly that they have one item that is available for purchase, and it's Sessions, Season 1, Episode 1,
Hmm.
$3.99. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me try this. It's $3.99. It's not going to be a lot. And it is a band called AJ Lee, and I put it in the show notes so I wouldn't forget it. Uh, AJ Lee and Blue Summit.
Hmm.
And it is a 5-piece band, although all you see here is 4 people. The stand-up bass guy isn't there. 2 guitarists, both flanked on the end. She's the main singer and mandolin player, and then the other guy, middle right, is the fiddle player. And so
Okay.
it's country bluegrass, and it's 16 minutes of video.
Hmm.
And there's a little bit of explanation for each song, but there are 3 songs over a 16-minute period. They talk a little bit about the band, and then they go in. And in my view, you see the whole band. So you're not sitting too far
Okay.
back, you're not sitting close up. but you
Oh,
get
that's nice.
across your field of vision the whole band, and you realize the guitar player on one side is singing, and you can, maybe it was my imagination, the spatial audio was like, okay, he's singing the bass line, the other guy on the other side singing the harmony, and she's singing the melody, and the bass
Huh.
is in the back, and the fiddle player comes up when it's time for his solo. But the way this sound kind of worked in this was pretty amazing. And it might be because I haven't been watching a lot of this other stuff. But, there are shows that you can get. There's an app that sells music shows of artists that I could care less about for
Hmm.
$15. And I'm not going to pay $15 to see this. $4, pretty good. I'd say I'd recommend it to folks. And it was shot in a Victorian, I don't know, architecture, but I'd say a Victorian house. And it was in a open room in a Victorian house where most of the music took place. But I would
Hmm.
suggest that you listeners take a look at it. It's worth it. And I was going to post something to Reddit about it to let them know we were going to talk about it tonight, and I didn't get to it before the show. So I'll find the Reddit post and mention it. But yeah, pretty cool. Now, if they can keep putting these little pieces out, and not just this band, but other bands,
Yeah.
if they can keep putting these little pieces out for $4, it's like purchasing music, but it's really purchasing spatial video with music. That's reasonable for getting music that way. And I started thinking when I was watching it, this would be a really good platform for new bands
Hmm.
to get some exposure,
Yeah.
um, and for people to get excited about it. I did a little tracking on this band. They have a YouTube presence. They have, they obviously tour. It's interesting, but I really felt like I was being introduced to something new here with it. So it's called Primo Immersive. The app is free, and then content, and right now they only have one piece of content, is purchasable at a very reasonable rate, and I hope it stays that way.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Yeah.
Yep. Well, partner,
I will give a listen to that one.
yeah, and I think you'd like the music. I mean, I don't know much about your taste in music, but I think you'd like this. Um, and I missed Kendrick Lamar last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You're gonna have to go back and watch it then.
yeah, I'll watch it. I'm not as excited about it as the youngins might, but I'll give it a watch because I since have read some things about that that makes me kind of interested. There were apparently some subtle political messages in what he was doing, or maybe not so subtle, which anytime somebody tries
Yeah.
to pull that off, I have great appreciation for them, that they're able to do that. So I think that's a wrap for the show at this point. Um,
Yeah. A little bit short, but there was some neat stuff.
well, originally when we started this, we said, oh, we'll only do like 20 minutes because people can't listen to us for 20 minutes. And we've done like an hour and 10-minute shows, which can seem a lot. So we're at about 40 right now with the false starts and the other things we had to do, and we'll be okay.
That's
Just
giving
make
it
them come
people
back.
enough. Well, you're
Yep.
giving people enough time to go out and play Eternal Starlight and watch Prima Immersive. So
Yeah. Yeah. And plan your next day with Planny.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Um, and we'd love to hear from our listeners if you have any ideas or if you want to join us on an episode. Eric found some guy from Australia in space. Now, had he listened to our show?
Yeah. Yeah. He listens to it frequently.
And I said,
So
I told
because
him, yeah,
he wandered through the room and didn't know who I was, but recognized my voice.
wow.
So yeah, a definite shout out to Australia.
Well, we need
He's
to get him on the
probably not
show.
listening. Well, he's probably not listening live. We might have to kind of time shift a bit.
Yeah, we can time
But
shift, but probably he's listening upside down.
huh.
Think about that. So
Yeah.
if you're a listener and you want to join us, just email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. Connect with us. You can find us on a lot of different places, but go ahead and connect with us. I'm Gensius at Blue Sky. And Eric, where are you at?
EA Bolden at Blue Sky or EA Bolden at techhub.social on Mastodon. And every
So,
once in a while in space.
yeah.
Usually I go in and rotate pictures, and sometimes you can catch me.
So, connect with us. We'd love to have you on the show. That's how Daniel started, and Daniel's back every couple of weeks, and there's certainly enough space for more folks to join us. So think about joining us if you'd like to talk about your Vision Pro experience and maybe comment on some of the articles that we put up. Our bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Learn more about us and the Vision Profile podcast at our website, thepodtalk.net. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.